You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. We are about to move on to the Punjab Kings in our IPL preview series. They're good. They're good fun to talk about. They're not good. I needed to finish that sentence in one go. I took a breath at the wrong time. They're not good. They're actually heroically bad. I mean, considering how easy it is mathematically to make the playoffs, they're so
rarely
bad
make
at
it.
making the playoffs.
Yeah, they really make it. Yep.
Just a reminder, do make sure you click like and subscribe on whichever platform you are watching or listening on. We appreciate that. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you think the teams are going to do in the IPL. Where we're wrong and where we're right. Yeah, we really like. Actually, that feedback's really useful. Random people from the internet, especially if you write it in all capitals or with no punctuation. That's the best way.
If you could also point out where you've been really racist and colonialist, that's also good.
Well, let's get on talking about Punjab Kings. So last season, they managed 5 wins and 9 losses. They finished second bottom in the IPL standings.
Not bad. Not bad for them.
Yeah. No wooden spoon to boast about. But there's a shake-up happening at the Punjab Kings franchise, and Ricky Ponting is in town as the coach. My autocorrect wanted to call him Risky Ponting, which I quite like, as he's taken up the reins of a batshit enterprise. And I mean, nothing could demonstrate this more than them spending so much money on Shreyas Iyer. Yes, he won the IPL last year with KKR. Yes, he was the captain. But is he really worth all of that money where they could have spent it across the rest of their team because they had the biggest purse at the auction? But he is the captain this time round. And their kit is red with a gold trim. It's got some weird flames on it where the middle one looks like someone's doing the rock symbol with their hand. So it's a rock and roll kit for a rock and roll team.
Yeah.
Do you know what, guys? I'm going to say it outright before we even go into the players. I'm liking the vibes that Punjab Kings are putting out this year. It's full Australian, and what we know about Australian, they win, right? Australians win, and so they've got an Aussie coach. 5 of the 8 overseas slots are taken up by Australians. So it's a pretty good starter.
Who could have seen that coming?
And I'll go through it, right? It's big Marcus Stoinis. He's in there. You've got Glenn Maxwell. You've got Aaron Hardy, Xavier Bartlett, and Josh Inglis are the 5 Aussies taking up the slots. You've then got Marco Jansen. Once of Sunrisers Hyderabad fame, but the left arm South African. You've got Azmatullah Omazai, Lockie Ferguson, kind of making up the other 3 positions. Overall, not a bad overseas contingent, I don't think. I think it's got some flexibility in there. Is Aaron Hardy and Xavier Bartlett really up to the standard of the IPL? Not quite sure, but the other 6...
Aaron Hardy's not up to the T20 Blast.
So the other 6, I think, are not too bad. Key domestic players, they spent an awful lot of money bringing Arshdeep Singh back, and then they got Yuzi Chahal, arguably the best leg spinner in the competition. Shreyas Iyer, obviously, as mentioned, and then looking at the other ones, there's kind of a mixed bag of people in the middle, which I think Harpreet Brar is probably the best of. So it's an okay team. Predicted 11. They've had all the money in the world, and I'm not sure who's going to open the batting. It's not actually super clear. They've got someone who's played, I think it's 12 T20 games, called Priyansh Ara. He's got a strike rate of 166, but I'm not sure if they're going to end up risking playing him or not. Be quite fun to see. They've got Snake Dream Prabhasimran Singh. Then Shreyas Iyer potentially at 3, but I think he might end up opening in this team. Another opening option is Josh Inglis, who I think will bat at 4. Glenn Maxwell at 5. And then at 6, you're probably going to get Shashank Singh or Wadhira. And maybe that's where you kind of start to see the impact sub come in. At 7, I think we'll see a bit of a mix of Amazatullah, Omazai. I'm still not quite sure where Stoinis quite fits in to this team, but let's bring that one back to the conversation in a minute. Marco Janssen, I think, has to play. Harpreet Brar at 9, Yuzi Chahal at 10, and Arshdeep Singh at 11. Gents, am I about right with there? I can't quite get the square to circle, if you know what I mean. But how do you think?
It's because it doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm totally with you on that. Because what?
I mean, the players they could come in any order, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like I don't think they've but the way that most modern teams construct their squads is that they have what's called a depth chart, and they'll have player roles, and they'll try and fill those roles with a number of players to create depth. It's really clear that Punjab Kings haven't used that approach. Like
we need a squad, 10 batters and 10 bowlers.
Yeah, that's literally what they've done. They've picked it like a fantasy football team. It's like there's no consideration for how any of these players are actually going to.
I've got 4 left backs. It's fine.
Yeah. There's loads of assists, not a problem. Like 2 of them are on pens. It's all good. It's kind of bonkers. It's like like the Shreyas Iyer thing. You have to go back to that as well. The amount of money they spent on him. It is. Like, do they genuinely think that captaining a team to the IPL means that if you are bought, you then make the team that you're going to play for like way more likely? Like, is that because that can be the only logical reason to spend 27 crore on a player who's got frankly a really middling
average of 30 in T20Is and 136 strike rate.
And in T20s, it's in T20s generally, including domestic cricket, it's almost exactly the same as that. Yeah, so it's a low strike rate.
Yeah, IPL is even
average.
worse. 127.5, 32 average. Like that is not a player you spend over a quarter of your budget on.
It's a colossal amount of money to blast on that.
I mean, the kind of player he is, he could benefit from a move up the order. Actually, as a stroke maker, opening the batting, it could be an option.
It makes it a little bit easier to fit all of the middle order buttercream that they've got.
Is it they're a team of number 4s basically, aren't they? And Stoinis could open. I think he does that a little bit in the Big Bash, doesn't he? I'm not sure that it's ideal.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, basically, you could say for any of their players, you could be like, Glenn Maxwell, he could open. I'm not sure that would be ideal. Niyal Wadera, he can open. I'm not sure that would be ideal. It's.
They're kind of employing the sacrifice, aren't they? They're kind of going, look, who wants to open here, lads? Just no pressure. Doesn't
Maybe
matter
they'll try and turn Harpreet Brar into the next Sunil Narain.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the thing I was wondering about this, they picked, maybe Stoinis, maybe Maxwell aside, and maybe arguably Stoinis, but mainly Maxwell. They've kind of picked a lot of tempo batters, which is a word I'm going to start using instead of anchor, because I think anchor is pejorative. They've kind of picked a lot of guys who shouldn't get out really easily, but probably won't score really, really quickly. And that sort of makes sense if you think your bowling attack is going to be really, really good. And maybe that's where they're going. So bowling isn't bad. Arshdeep and Chahal is okay. Marco Janssen bowls lots of wicket balls. He sometimes bowls balls that get hit a very long way as well. But he does get people out.
I think
so maybe that's
compete across the different phases quite well. Yeah, I think they can compete across the phases. I think Arshdeep provides him with that flexibility because he can either power play bowl or he can bowl at the end. They've got different spin options, which I think is quite nice, including kind of having matchups covered because they've got Maxwell, Harpreet Brar, and then Chahal. I think Janssen, being the left armour, can offer something different. And then Omazai, as he proved recently in the Champions Trophy and he improved last year at the Gujarat Titans, that he can do a role, which I think is quite good. Domestic depth, though, I mean, they do have Yash Thakur and Kuldeep Sen as the other domestic pacers, which isn't screaming off the page, but they still do have some people around to work in that space. But Yeah, I don't mind the team. It's a little bit mental, and they will be great to follow as always. But I do think they're probably going to end up having to open with Shreyas Iyer and try to fit some more people into that middle order. But then that will negate some of the other pieces. So you might end up seeing Omazai bat up the order or Stoinis bat up the order, and that's the overseas slot that they take because you're going to have to play Glenn Maxwell. I think they're going to probably have to play Josh Inglis as well, and then you're going to need to play Janssen. So it'd be quite interesting to see what they end up doing.
It's good to have a bit of flexibility, I suppose. For all that it is totally madhouse stuff that we've got going on, there's a flip side to it, right? Some teams get a little bogged down in like, this is exactly how we're going to play, and you're going to come in at this time. And sometimes you think, well, actually, maybe you should shift it around a bit. Maybe you should have a little bit more flexibility in your approach. So maybe that will work in their favor. Who knows?
Yeah, and so the weapon of choice for me is something that actually represents that kind of flexibility, but also quite an inherent weakness in it. So I think they're the medieval mace. The spike ball on a chain.
Yeah,
I think they can do some serious damage, but
it could hit them in the face.
There's a lot of flair there, isn't there? There's a lot of flair. They could hit themselves and impale themselves with it. And overall, I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how they end up inflicting some self damage. But
nice.
They could do it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do. I think that's good. I to the extent where I'm not actually sure that weapon, as you're describing, there was ever really used. Like I think that
just
Gladiator,
I think this is basically what this team are, aren't they? They're that unnamed character in Gladiator swinging a mace, looks pretty threatening, and then immediately gets killed by Russell Crowe.
And he's Australian. Oh, plot twist! You didn't see that coming, did they? No. This Aussie-based team. I think they've got a shot at the playoffs. I think if they can be competent, which we know is strong, but they are being coached by Ricky Ponting, who is an interesting record. I think as a franchise coach, Ponting. But I think they've got enough quality in there to be contenders. But it's gonna be a wild ride. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think they're going to be contenders?
I think from a batting perspective, they've got people who can hit the ball like a long way, right? And Josh Inglis and Maxwell, I think they've got some middle order fireworks if they need it. At the end, we've seen that Janssen and Omazai can hit it. Stoinis, if he's in there, he can do it as well. And with Shreyas Iyer, they can bat through the overs, which they've kind of struggled to do so. So it's kind of it. A lot has to go right for that to happen. But bowling wise, they've got probably the best leg spinner in the tournament, and they've got the best left arm quick in the tournament as well in Arshdeep Singh. So I think that's 8 pretty good overs, and then you've got kind of Janssen and whoever else is going to end up kind of coming in. So I think they've got something there. I reckon out of the 10 teams, they're probably a team that you're looking around kind of the 5-6 mark, who could, with a good run, could end up in the playoffs.
Okay, all right, yeah, I think that
it also
that makes
depends
more
which
sense.
version of Glenn Maxwell they get.
I mean, last time that Punjab Kings had Glenn Maxwell, he averaged 7.
Yeah, didn't hit 6 in the
Yeah.
entire tournament.
They're going back into that barrel.
Yeah. By the way, we're going up against Wisden on this. I was checking out some of the research and other people. They think that they're the best team in the competition.
That's not true.
We've
done 2 teams so far, and this team are the second best. Like, there's still 8 more. I really do like Punjab. I would much prefer them to do well than Mumbai Indians, but like, let's be realistic here. Like, of the 2 teams we talked about, this is not the best one. Rob, I think you are right though. Like, their problem over the last 2 or 3 years has been they just get out way too often. Like, they're out all the time. It's like a procession every other game through their order, and I think that should stop. Like that. This isn't the kind of madcap team that they were last time. So
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They've got,
I love
they've got some grown ups in the team who should take a little bit of responsibility, and I think that's a key part for this Punjab Kings team.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Did you do an 11? I think you did.
I've done 11. Yep. But
You made your
just to
prediction.
remind everyone, I made my prediction. So I think 5 or 6 with an outside shot of the playoffs.
Cool. All right. And your weapon of choice is the mace. So I think that's Punjab Kings done. We'll take another break
It
and
is.
then we'll come back and we will talk about the Gujarat Titans.